Hi everyone, Adrian from Audio Excellence Canada. Hope you're doing well. So today we're going to unbox the Macintosh MP1100 Phono Stage. Now we've had this Phono Stage on display multiple times. We've never done an unboxing, so I thought we'd do it. It's actually a very unique Phono Stage in terms of the multiplicity of features and benefits. So let's get started. And, after I open it, I'll go through all the details. Okay. As usual, most of Macintosh's products are double boxed, so you see the inner box. Okay, and again, if it's brand new, it should say sealed by Macintosh, factory sealed Macintosh. It comes with the power cord, remote control, manual, and the unit itself. Let me show you what the remote looks like. And there you go. Okay, we'll go into all these details a little bit later, but for now, that's what it looks like. Battery, and I'm gonna take it out of the plastic. We'll hook it up, and then I'll show you all the different connectivities and features. Okay. We've unboxed it. This is what it looks like. I've plugged in a power cord. As usual, you will see a red LED just below the standby. And if you press that, the Phono Stage is now going through its warm-up stage. You'll see that there are 2 meters in the front. And at the top, there are 4 tubes. Now, this is a fully balanced Phono Stage. I'll show you in the back later where you actually have balanced inputs and balanced outputs for the turntable connectivity. There are 4 12AX7A tubes, 2 on each side. Okay, now let me turn it around and show you what the connectivity is like. So again, this you can just insert a picture and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this Phono Stage is incredibly flexible. It comes with 3 sets of RCA phono inputs. So there you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that's left and right. You have also input 3 can be balanced or RCA, right? And then you have inputs as well. So if you have regular other sources, like for example, ironically enough, if you wanted to connect a streamer or a CD, analog output, you could do that here. Balance as well. And then these are your outputs: left RCA, left balance, right RCA, right balance. And ironically enough, since it's a Phono Stage, it also has digital outputs. And the reason for that is that if you want to rip your LPs to your computer, you can do so with optical, coax, or USB. Now, all these digital outputs have, where is it? Here we go. They're fixed at 24 bits and can be set to either 96 kilohertz or 192 kilohertz. Now, you do need to use software to do the ripping to your computer, but it allows you to do that. It is fully adjustable. It has fully adjustable gain from 40 to 64 dB for MM to MC. And it even has mono. Well, we'll get into that when I turn it around. Okay, so that's the back. Turntable grounds, lots of turntable grounds for some reason. Now, by the way, the reason why you have up to 3 inputs for phono is that some clients have turntables where you can mount up to 3 tone arms, so you can physically have 3 separate cartridges connected to it. As I mentioned earlier, you also have balanced inputs as well. And every one of these is independently adjustable for or MC, and you can adjust the resistance and capacitance of each. Okay? Okay, so once you turn the unit on, this is what it looks like. You have, as I mentioned earlier, 3 phono inputs. So if you go to the input, you might want to come a little bit closer just to see everything. So right at the top it says MM. This is the factory default. MM, which means moving magnet, phono input 1. The equalization curve is the RIAA. Capacitance is picofarad 50 and 47 kilo ohms, right? Phono input 2 is again factory default at moving coil, RIAA curve, picofarads at 200 and 1 kilo ohms. So interestingly enough, the MP1100 comes with the profile settings already set up for the Macintosh MT10 turntable or the MT5, which I'll show you in a moment. And these are the specifications that you would use with that cartridge that's included with the MT10. And of course, you can choose line input. So if you've got your CD player analog output plugged in here, it would go in here and you can plug that into your preamplifier. Line 1, line 2. Okay, so back to MM. So from here, if I wanted to adjust it, actually, let's go into settings. So if you press and hold the input, now it'll show you the firmware version 1.01 and the serial number. If you rotate that, it now gives you the option of whether you want to turn on the input or turn it off. So I'll show you what I mean. Hold input. Okay, so now we're on phono 1. So let's say, for example, you only have one turntable input, one cartridge input. You can physically disable phono 2 and phono 3. So for example, let me go to phono 2, and I can then choose off. And if I do that and I press enter, then if I do that, then phono 2 will not show up when you rotate your inputs, right? Same with phono 3, okay? And again, so let's just continue. Then you can also rename the input. So you could hold the input and then go through all the selections and choose the name for your turntable. So let's say you've got 3 separate turntables. One is a VPI, one is a clear audio, and so on. You can name them. And so when you turn the inputs, it'll actually display the name of the turntable instead of phono input 1, 2, and 3. User profile. So if I press hold, okay. So once you've set up everything, you can now save your settings. So your picofarads, your resistance, and so on, you can save it to your profile. Okay, so because it has digital outputs, and some people will never use the ability to rip, you can turn it off. And when you turn it off, then this is purely an analog phono stage. Okay, I'm just going to leave it on for now. Oops. Tube lights on. So at the top here, where the tubes are backlit, if you don't want them to be backlit, you can turn them off. As you can see, they're off now. And turn them on, and they're back on. Okay? Front IR enable. If you're using the remote control that comes with it, this is the IR sensor over here. You would want it enabled. Auto off enabled. So after 10 or 15 minutes, if there's no signal, the unit will go into standby. If you don't want that to automatically go into standby, you would go disabled. Okay? And of course, if you have made all your adjustments and you decide you don't like it, you can always go to factory reset, press that and hold it, and it will go into factory reset, and then it will shut it down to standby, at which point you would press this button again and turn it back on. Okay, so that's your that's a setup menu. Now let's go into the trim menu. So trim menu, you press this button once. Okay, so you have a choice of going to, well, let me go back into the start. Okay, so cartridge profile, press trim to set. So, okay, so let's say you have a turntable with a moving magnet cartridge, like for example, a Clear Audio, the Maestro V2. So you'd want to go into moving magnet. Okay, moving magnet, or you can change the moving coil here, right? Now, the other thing I mentioned earlier is that it comes with profile settings for the Macintosh MT5 turntable with its dedicated cartridge, or the MT10 with its dedicated cartridge. So you can choose whichever you like. But let's just go back to MM for now. Okay. And then resistance is standard 47 kilo ohms. Picofarads. Now in this case, if we were using the Clear Audio Maestro, the factory recommends 100. So you would go to 100. And again, you can adjust it up to, I think, 400. Yep. Okay. I'm just going to bring it back to 50. Gain, because it's moving magnet, it already has more gain than a moving coil, so I would leave it at 46. Now, if your cartridge, for whatever reason, needs more gain, then you can go higher. Okay? Equalizer. So if you have a particular turntable with a cartridge that you like to play earlier albums that were, that were using different equalization profiles, you can choose between RIAA, LP, NAB, AES, and 78. And again, once you've got that set up, you can then go back to the earlier setting and save that profile. So again, I'm going to go back to RIAA, which is the most common. Rumble filter. Now, some recordings were done in such a way that you would hear low frequency noise. You can turn on the rumble filter, and that will help cut down the rumble noise. And in fact, in extreme cases, you might actually see the woofer doing that. So the rumble filter will help. Okay. Scratch filter. Controversial. Some people really don't like it. Some people really find it useful. There's a little bit of loss in the signal and dynamics when you have it on the scratch filter, but if you find it very objectionable, you have that choice. Okay? Digital out level, high or low. And sample rate, press trim to set. You can choose between 96 or 192. And there you have it. So then you can do the same thing now with Phono Input 2. Again, it comes factory preset with moving coil. You can adjust that as you like it. And again, with the MT10 as one of the options of Phono Input 3, you can change that, of course, as well. And that's basically the setup of the Phono Stage. As you can see, it's extremely flexible, so by all means, if you own one of these, take the time to learn how to use it and optimize it. Now, one of the things that I've noticed that, for example, with the impedance loading, certain cartridges, cartridge recommendations, like for example, Clear Audio recommends their MCs to be loaded between 50 to 100 ohms. You can certainly explore the different options. You will find that different settings will give you quite different sounds, and you may prefer that. So by all means, play with that. There it is. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, leave them below, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.